So chapter 21, practice problem number 4. This will be a continuation of, well, an extension of practice problem number 2 and number 3. Practice problem number 2 is displayed here in exercise 21.8, where we needed to compute the missing amounts in contribution margin income statements for companies A and B, which we did. Then for practice problem number 3, we needed to compute the break even in units and also the break even in dollar sales for both companies. And we did it here, as you can see, for company A. In order for the company to break even in units, they have to sell 622 units in order to cover their total fixed costs and break even. The total dollar amount of sales that they need to generate in order to break even is $40,000. For company B, in order for them to break even in units, they have to sell 898 units in order for them to cover their total fixed costs. Break even in dollar sales, they have to generate total sales of $37,981. Okay, so I'll go back over here to this exercise displaying the company A and company B income statements here. Contribution margin income statements, to be exact. And excuse me, it shows the income here for company A of $46,400, company B of $23,700. Now, what if they had a target income that's more than $46,400 for company A and then $23,700 for company B? So what is that going to look like? So now we can figure out, well, how many units needs to be sold in order for them to generate a target income of, let's just say, $100,000. So what I'm going to do is use that amount for both company A and company B. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here, start with company A. And I'm going to put on here target income, which is going to be $100,000. And this is for company A. So here, what we want to know is, well, if company A wants to generate a net income of $100,000, well, how many units are needed, or how many units needs to be sold in order to generate a net income of $100,000? So set up the formula here. We're going to take our total fixed costs and we're going to add our target income. And we're going to divide it by our contribution margin per unit. All right. So I'm going to do a plug-in. So total fixed costs came out to be $11,200. Okay, so we can go back up here to the chart so that way you can see the total fixed costs for company A. It's listed right here, $11,200. And we're going to add $100,000, which is our target income. Then we're going to divide it by the contribution margin per unit, which, yes, is displayed here on a chart of $18 per unit. It's also done in step 1 here for company A, $18 per unit. Okay, so notice that $11,200, that's a dollar amount. $100,000, that's a dollar amount. $18, that's a dollar amount. That lets you know that we're trying to find the number of units and not the dollar sales or dollar amount. So I'm going to take $11,200 plus $100,000, and then I'm going to divide that by $18 per unit. So this gives me $6,177.777778. So I'm going to go ahead and round this to the nearest whole dollar. So I'm going to put on here, I said it, this is going to be units. and not dollars. So this is 6,178. So this is the number of units here for company A in order for them to, well, okay, let me step back. 6,178 units is the number of units that needs to be sold in order for the company to generate a net income of $100,000. Okay. So this formula here is pretty similar to the formula for what you need to use in order to figure out what the break even in units should be. All you need to do is just take away the target income, and then you're able to compete with the break even in units is based on, this given formula here of total fixed costs divided by contribution margin per unit. But in order for you to figure out what is needed in order to generate a target income of X amount, then you're just going to add the target income with the total fixed costs in order to figure out how many units is needed in order to generate that target income. Okay, so now we're going to figure out, well, how much in dollar sales needs to be generated in order to achieve this target income of $100,000 for company A. So I'm going to zoom out here so we can see. Okay, so now we're going to, for step two, in order for us to figure out what the total sales should be in order to break even, total sales in dollar amount, we have to take the total fixed cost divided by the contribution margin ratio. So in order to figure out the total sales that needs to be generated in order to achieve our target income of $100,000 for company A, we're just going to use this same not ratio, but same formula of total fixed costs, but we're going to add the target income of $100,000 and divide it by the contribution margin ratio. So I'm going to put over here total fixed costs plus our target income, and that's going to be divided by contribution margin ratio. So I'm going to do a plug-in. Total fixed cost is 11,200 plus 100,000. That's our target income. And we're going to divide it by our contribution margin ratio, which is 0.28 or 28% right here. It's from step 2. Okay, so you notice here at the top in the numerator, you have dollar amounts, 11,200 and 100,000. Those are dollar amounts. But the denominator is not a dollar amount. That's a percentage. That lets you know that we are computing dollar sales, actual amounts, not numbers. So I'm going to take 11,200 plus 100,000 and divide it by 0.28. That's going to give me now, this is a dollar amount, $397,142.85 or 86 cents. So what I'm going to do is round this to the nearest dollar. I'm going to put $397,143. Okay. So this is sales here. This is our sales. So in order to, or this is what it's telling us, in order for us to achieve a target income of 100,000, right here, of 100,000, the company needs to generate in sales $397,143. And that's total sales. Now we're going to do the same thing for company B. So company B, okay, their target income, just going to keep it simple, keep the same amount, 100,000. They may have to do a little bit more than company A because I think their net income was a lot lower than the net income of company A. So we're going to take the total fixed cost. I'm not going to write the formula again because it's over here on the left-hand side underneath company A. We're going to take the total fixed cost, which is $19,750. Okay, that's shown in step 2, and also from this exercise 21.8 here, 19,750. We're going to add 100,000 divided by our contribution margin per unit, which came out to be $22, shown in step 1. So doing the math calculations here, 19,750 plus 100,000 divided by 22. Okay, this gives us 5,443.18182. So I'm going to round this to the nearest whole dollar and put on here 5,443. Okay, so this is telling us that in order for company B to achieve a target income of $100,000, I can't believe I missed that zero there. $100,000, they need to sell 5,443 units. Okay, so now to figure out the dollar amount or the total dollars in sales that's needed, we're going to take the total fixed costs plus the target income of 100,000, and we're going to divide it by the contribution margin ratio, which was done in step 2, which is 0.52 or 52%. Okay, so this is going to give us our dollar amount. So 19,750 plus 100,000 divided by 0.52. This gives us 230,288.462. So I'm going to round this to the nearest whole dollar. So this is going to be $230,288. So in order for the company to achieve their target income of 100,000, they need to generate a total sales of $230,288.